Hello and welcome to another episode of Chat and Chew. Today's episode is called Make Your Meals Excellent. Oh my, I am so excited. But before we talk about this great topic, I want to introduce to you 4 outstanding nutrition and dietetic students in their last year here with us at Loma Linda. So I'm going to start with my farthest right, Susan Kuman. Susan, where were you born?
So I was born in Los Angeles, California, but I actually grew up abroad. So my dad is Japanese and my mom is Portuguese. And so I actually grew up in both those 2 places, so Japan and Portugal. And it was only for college that I came back to the US and then have stayed here ever since. So I'm kind of a citizen of the world, if you will.
I love that, citizen of the world.
Yes.
Beautiful. So you've been to many places all over the world. Why did you choose Loma Linda University to obtain your education?
So a couple of reasons. For one, I'm a big foodie. I have had the opportunity to try foods from all over the world, and so that really cultivated my passion for food and nutrition. Yeah. And then, of course, Loma Linda's mission of whole person care and to make man whole really resonates with me.
Love it.
And also, I tend to focus on a plant-based diet, and so the fact that Loma Linda has a lacto-ovo-vegetarian campus also really resonated with me. So lots of different reasons for coming to Loma Linda.
Thank you so much for sharing. All right, next we have Miss Yui Brewerton. Hello. Yui. Where do you come from?
So I was born in Beijing, China, and I came to California when I was 5 years old, and I have been staying in SoCal my whole entire life, essentially. And then I went up to NorCal for my undergrad degree up at UC Davis, and I am back here now.
Awesome. Love hearing that. So thank you so much for sharing that. And why nutrition?
So I actually got my bachelor's in nutrition up at Davis.
Yes.
And I think my love for nutrition really stemmed from the preventative care aspect of nutrition. My grandma had surgery when I was applying for undergrad. And when she came out the hospital, obviously what she ate was super important.
Right.
And I think that really jump-started my interest in nutrition because I love the thought of we are what we eat. And I just think food is such a basic thing. And again, everybody eats, but no one really understands what they're eating because the topic of nutrition isn't really taught to the general public. So I think that's like one of the things that I love the most is I want to make sure that I'm able to widespread this education about nutrition to others.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Miss Juarez. Hello, Miss Juarez. Where do you hail from?
Born and raised Los Angeles, California. Basically stayed there my entire life.
Yes.
Until I went to college. I ended up going to school in Central California, which is basically just California. California is huge. So wherever you go, you get a little bit of the snow, a little bit of the beach. So except Central California is really different because there's no beach there. It's like a desert.
Yes.
Also, the population's pretty low. So it's still California, but it's a huge difference going from Southern California all the way to Central and then back to Southern California, which was a change in its own as well.
Incredible. So what is your ultimate goal when all is said and done? You have your RDN. What's going to happen after that for you?
That's a loaded question, actually.
True.
I think my dream at the moment is to primarily focus on education. I do want to work in either an outpatient clinic that focuses on mothers, prenatal care, or in a pharmaceutical company that focuses on basically spreading education on what their product is providing. So for example, it could be something for insulin for type 1, or maybe some other medication for other condition that's terminal, not terminal, but long lasting. And that needs care through nutrition for a very long time. And maybe it'll even take them off the medication for some time. So yeah, that's the goal. Education is for sure my goal.
I
after.
love that. Excellent. I was going to say excellent. Excellent. And last but not least, we have Miss Tanya Mora. Tanya, where do you come from?
I was born here in San Bernardino, so I'm a local resident, but I really grew up in Fontana, so that's really my hometown, but I'm just a local.
Okay, we love locals. And after you obtain your RDN, what would your first job right after school be like, look like?
I think for me, I would like to get into a hospital in the clinical aspect so I can get more of a foundation
Yeah.
of the nutritional aspect, because that's really a foundation for a lot of the different fields that we can go into.
I love it so much. Well, thank you ladies so much for sharing. And I really want to get deep into eggs. So let's start off with, what are the health benefits of eggs, if there are any?
Yes, there are so many health benefits to consuming eggs.
Yeah.
For example, eggs are really important for eye health, and that is because it contains two antioxidants known as lutein and zeaxanthin, which are very fancy names for two antioxidants. And they have been found to be protective against certain eye diseases like age-related macular degeneration, for example. Eggs are also really important for brain and nerve function, and that's due to the presence of a nutrient called choline.
Yes.
And then, of course, because eggs are a high-quality protein source, they also support muscle health. So everything from muscle building to preventing muscle loss, which, of course, as we get older, it's important to, be aware of that as well.
True.
And fun fact,
Fun fact.
Fun
yes.
fact, there are certain individuals that have a genetic variation in their DNA, and so it makes it a little bit more difficult for them to convert beta carotene to vitamin A.
Right.
And beta carotene is a precursor to vitamin A.
Correct.
And is typically found in plant foods. So for those individuals, they have a little bit of a difficult time converting that beta carotene to vitamin A.
Right.
And for them, eggs are a fantastic option, an
yes.
excellent option.
There we go. Love it. Yes.
Because, in eggs, the active form of vitamin A is present in eggs. So lots of health benefits.
Excellent. Okay, wonderful. So can you, either you, Susan, or the others, can you elaborate more on the protein aspect of the egg?
Okay, I'll go ahead and tackle this question.
All right.
So, we can view eggs as the rock star within our little food group. They are known
Okay.
as a complete protein, which essentially means that they contain all 9 essential amino acids. And essential amino acids essentially entitle that our body cannot synthesize and make these amino acids, so we have to consume them through our dietary intake. So with that being said, amino acids are essentially the building blocks for protein, which ties back to our question. So I think a lot of people have a misconception that only egg whites contain protein, which is not true actually. Egg whites contain roughly around 3.2 grams of protein, and egg yolks contain around 2.4 grams. So the egg whites contain around 12 different types of protein sources, and not to get too technical because Ms. Susan already talked about them, but essentially all of these proteins contain a lot of health benefits such as antioxidants. And with egg yolks, they contain a little bit less protein sources, only 4. So that's why we see that discrepancy between egg whites and egg yolks.
Wow. All right. So I have a really interesting question. So what are the different types of eggs that are available, and why are there different colored eggs?
I could answer that.
Oh, yes, please.
There's so many different colors. I think
Yeah.
when you go into the grocery store, all you see is your standard white eggs and standard brown eggs.
True.
But a lot of people don't know that there could even be different tones of white. There could be different tones of brown, maybe green, blue, and pink eggs, actually.
Pink.
So, and all those colors, they just really represent and they determine what the breed of the hen was. So, for example, you have a white egg, it would come from a hen that has white feathers. Or if you have a brown egg, it would come from a hen that has that reddish brown tint on their feathers. So that's the main difference with all the colors, but you said the different kinds of eggs.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out that all the colors and the eggs, they don't really determine the nutritional value.
Okay.
It would primarily be the size. So if you look at chicken eggs in comparison to duck and quail eggs in the supermarket, you can see there's a price difference as well. So the chicken eggs would be a lot less expensive than those other two eggs. But that's because they have a different nutritional value, different flavor, different aspect to your dish. So for example, a quail egg, it could have a lot more iron, maybe B12 in there, also riboflavin, very high in protein, more of those healthy fats, and they taste good.
Yes.
Quail eggs have a different flavor than chicken eggs. You also have, chicken eggs actually have a lot more choline, so you can maybe tie that into your decision when you're at the supermarket.
Good point.
But also duck eggs, they have double the amount of potassium than quail eggs. They're so filled with those B6 vitamins, the B12, selenium as well, which is great for pregnancy. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of different aspects of different eggs, nutritional value. But just remember, if you're at the grocery store, you have a white egg and a brown egg that are relatively the same size, they're gonna have the same nutritional value.
Okay.
So those are all the differences I got for you.
I love it. All of these differences are just mind-blowing. It's really neat to know all this. So thank you so much. Wonderful. Okay, so then my next question is, I have lots of questions here, but what are the different parts of the eggs, and does each part have a different nutritional content or what it offers nutritionally speaking?
I'll more than gladly answer that question. So I do have here a display of just the different parts of the egg. So the different parts of the egg include the shell, the inner and outer membrane, the albumin, the air cell, and the yolk. So the shell is actually the hard protective covering of the egg. And this has many tiny pores that allow air and moisture to pass in and out of the egg. And then the inner and outer membranes are transparent protein membranes that is between the eggshell and the egg white. So this serves as a robust defense against bacterial invasion, as well as exhibit surprisingly strength when pulled. So then the air cell is just the pocket of air that is in between the whiter part of the egg.
Okay.
So then next we go to the albumin. But as we know, the egg white, which is the watery, semi-solid white part of the egg, which is also 50% of the overall weight of the egg, and the egg white contains 3.2 grams of protein. And then the yolk is just the yellow of the egg, and it contains 2.4 grams of protein. And it also has some fat in the egg yolk, but it also has a rich in vitamins and minerals, such as vitamin A, vitamin D, iron, phosphorus, and calcium.
Incredible. Thank you. That's also a lot of great information right there. So I know we're running a little bit out of time for this segment, but I know someone out there is asking with this burning question in their minds: do eggs raise cholesterol?
That's such a fantastic question. And, while eggs are naturally high in cholesterol, say compared to other foods, one egg has about 187 milligrams of cholesterol. It has been found that dietary cholesterol, so that's cholesterol from food like eggs, does not necessarily raise blood cholesterol levels.
Yeah.
And there was a study actually done, a large-scale global study, and they found actually that there was no significant association between egg intake and blood lipids. So that would include things like total cholesterol.
Right.
And also they found no significant association between egg intake and cardiovascular disease or heart disease.
Wow.
So absolutely, eggs in moderation, much like everything in life, can absolutely be a part of a healthy diet.
This is incredible news.
Right.
I bet there are a lot of people right now who are just jumping up and down. And they're so happy for that. I know it makes me happy to hear this. So, all right, ladies, you know what? This is the time that we get to experience some great recipes. At least all of you can experience it from a visual point of view, but the ladies have some excellent recipes that they will share with you right now. All right, ladies, take it away.
All right, so I'm getting pretty hungry with all this egg talk
Same
that we
here.
have.
Same.
And we're gonna just get started with the basics of what eggs provide. So one of them is mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is one of the ones that are very hit or miss for a lot of people, but in the recipes we've seen in Spanish recipes and also French recipes, it's basically just an emulsion of oils with egg yolks. And you could spike it up with some seasoning and with some acid as well. So let's just give it a try.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so Susan, what are the ingredients we have for this mayonnaise?
So we're gonna need 1 egg, but we have 2 just in case.
Just in case we're on camera.
We also have a neutral oil like canola oil. And then we have Dijon mustard. We have a little white vinegar. And then we have salt and pepper. And a little bit of lemon. I forgot.
That's all good. So I see here you have some brown eggs and some white eggs. Is there a difference?
So, no.
No.
In terms of nutritional content, they're pretty much the same, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There we go. We're listening.
We're remembering.
In terms of flavor, do you think there's a difference at all, or
Honestly, no.
no?
Do
Right?
you?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I haven't had eggs in years, but I know you have.
From my experience, no.
No. Okay. So let's give the brown egg a try.
Let's do it. All right.
Okay, so we have that egg.
Crack
In order to
open.
make mayonnaise, you can use an immersion blender, a food processor. You could also use a whisk as well. Today we're going to use an immersion blender, just to
Right
make
here.
things a little faster. So do you want to give it a blitz?
Yes.
Just a couple seconds
All right.
there.
It's going to get a little loud.
Yeah. All right, so we see here the egg yolks and the egg whites are kind of mixed already. So the good thing about all of our ingredients that is they are room temperature, which is essential for this recipe. If you have an egg that's still too cold and you cannot wait, just go ahead and put in just a little bit of warm water to warm it up a bit. But right now we're gonna put in the acid. So we have our Dijon mustard and also our vinegar. Just pop those right in.
I'm going to use a little spoon here.
Also at this time, you can add all of the spices you'd like. So here we only have salt and pepper just to keep it pretty basic.
So I'm going to do it to taste. Just going to add a
taste.
little bit of salt.
It's a little pinch there.
Yep. And then a little bit of pepper.
Getting fancy with little grinder.
You know, why not?
Have fun with it.
Okay.
All right, do you want to put in the lemon in there too?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm going to give it a little squeeze.
And if you don't have lemon at home, you can just supplement with vinegar. The goal is just to get some acid
There we go.
along with your
Awesome.
eggs and oil. So now we can just do a little blitz
right.
for a couple of seconds. That's good.
Yep.
So right now we have everything just mixed up. The best part about mayonnaise is that it comes together with the oil. So we're just gonna take some oil that we have here. Here we have about a cup of oil. It can be any neutral oil, or if you want some flavor in there, you can use other things like olive oil, maybe sesame oil as well. So you can just drop that in there, and the goal here is to do it slowly. So let's do it a little slow. All right, that's good. That's good. So as you can tell, she was doing it really slow, and that's only because if you do it too fast, you're gonna end up with soup, and we do not want that. But luckily for us, we've already done this process, and we do have some mayonnaise right here that we prepared earlier today. Super fresh.
Beauty of television.
Now that that's all prepared, that brings us to our next recipe. Yui, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so before we go ahead and move on to egg salad, I do want to say that a great factor about eggs is that they act as a binding agent in cooking. So with eggs here, we see that they acted as an emulsifying agent in which that they combine the liquid, so the vinegar or the lemon juice with the oil. So that's why at the end product, we have something thick. Yes, beautiful. So with egg salad, the one thing that we love is eggs and mayos, which we just freshly made. So I'm gonna have Tanya here help me go ahead and combine all of our lovely ingredients in our big bowl.
Awesome.
Okay, so what we did is we went ahead and pre-boiled and pre-peeled and separated and chopped our eggs. So we have 4 eggs here. So we have egg yolks and pre-chopped egg whites. So if you want to just go ahead and dump in
course.
the egg yolks and whites with me. Thank you so much. And then here we have our 3 tablespoons of mayo.
Now you use the spoon to
Yes.
dump everything in. We want to
Just a
make
little
sure we grab.
curiosity question.
Yes.
How would you even prepare boiled eggs? For someone like me, I haven't done it in a while. So.
There's actually so many different ways in boiling eggs. I actually witnessed a new way that Susan was boiling eggs yesterday. She turned off the heat once it started to boil and then put a lid on top of it and waited 10-15 minutes. I have never done that. I just kind of let it boil for around 10-ish minutes. And I think it depends if you want a softer egg yolk, a harder egg yolk. You can go ahead and wait 5-10 minutes depending on your preferred texture. But I've seen people air fry eggs too. There's many different ways of cooking
Didn't know
eggs.
you could do that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Eggs is very diverse.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So then we're gonna go ahead and add in our chopped celery. So chopped celery is super high in fiber. It's high in vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin K. So it's also another super food. We have our mustard, our Dijon mustard. Do you wanna go ahead and add that in for me, Tanya?
Yes.
Oh, Tanya, I have a
With
little spoon here.
baby
That
tester
might be
spoon.
useful.
That might, yes, definitely useful. Okay, got everything in there.
It's looking good.
And then our last little ingredient, we have our dill relish, if you want to go ahead and
Of
add
course.
that in at the end. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna go ahead and mix everything on up. I'll go ahead and give you a new spoon, girl.
Yes,
Wanna go ahead and
please.
stir everything on up for me? And so with this, you just wanna go ahead and mash it to your preferred texture. Some people like a little bit more chunky, some people like a little bit more smooth. Again, that's the beauty of this. You can go ahead and make it to however you would like. And one thing about egg salad, you can go ahead and store it in the fridge for 3 to 4 days. Once you see a lot of liquid or it's losing its bright color, go ahead and toss it out. You can make a fresh new batch with it.
Okay, how's it looking,
Oh, it
ladies?
smells really nice.
I know,
Yeah.
it's smelling great.
Yes, it is.
We're gonna go ahead and try to smash the egg yolks a little bit more for that. There we
Yeah.
go. And then we're gonna go ahead and just salt and pepper to taste. So just a little pinch of salt too.
Of course.
And what if we don't have celery at home? What else can we use?
The beauty of this, again, it's super versatile. You can add in whatever you would like. You can add in peas, carrots. I am a huge fan of cucumbers, so I'll probably toss in some cucumbers in there. But honestly, anything you would like, it's totally fine.
Oh, we're almost there.
Almost there. Almost there. It's just a egg yolk.
I
A little
know.
bit of tough time, but we're getting there.
It looks delicious. I
I
can't
know.
wait to try it.
It smells amazing too. I'm just gonna go ahead and sprinkle in some pepper while you
Of
are
course.
doing that. Beautiful.
We do have some eggs on the side here. Do you want to give us
Yes.
a little tour of our eggs here, Susan?
Yes, so basically we have our brown shelled egg, we have our white shelled egg, and then we actually found some quail eggs. So we brought those in as well. And just, it's so fascinating to see the difference between the three types of eggs. And I just look at the colors on
Go
that
ahead and
egg.
hold it up for
Isn't
comparison.
That, isn't that
size
just
comparison.
fascinating? I think that's just
Super
fascinating to see.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. You can find some of these in the supermarket. So if you ever see some quail eggs, feel free to try that.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I think
I
it's
think
good.
she's mixed pretty well.
pretty
Okay.
good.
All right. That looks delicious.
Delicious.
All right. So we are going to move on to our final recipe. And for this final recipe, we are traveling to Japan. And Tanya is going to help me.
Of course.
And we are going to guide you through the process of making a Japanese egg omelet known as tamagoyaki in Japanese. Now, the key to this recipe is like practice, practice, and then a little bit more practice. I promise, it's super simple. It just takes a little getting used to. So the one thing that is typically used for this recipe is a rectangular pan. But if you don't have that, no worries. You can always use a regular frying pan, and that'll work just fine as well. So what you'll need for the recipe is 3 eggs, a teaspoon of soy sauce, and you can always use low sodium soy sauce as well if you want to reduce your sodium intake. And then we also have half a teaspoon of brown sugar, and lastly, 3 tablespoons of dashi. Now, dashi is a Japanese kelp stock, but if you don't have access to that, no worries at all. You can always use vegetable stock, and that will work perfectly fine.
All right.
All right, let's get started, Tanya. So we're gonna crack our 3 eggs into this measuring cup.
Okay.
And I can help you do that.
Oh, definitely.
And the great thing about using a measuring cup is that, I'm gonna give you this one as well. If that's
Okay, that's fine.
So the great thing about the measuring cup is that it makes it easier to pour the egg mixture later on
Thank you.
in the pan. But you can absolutely use a bowl as well. I'm also gonna pass you the soy sauce to add in there. And lastly, we have our brown sugar. Oh wait, one more thing actually. That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, sorry, the last thing is the dashi. I'm gonna have you, Tanya, add that in. Yay. Perfect. Okay, and then from here, we're just gonna whisk. So we're gonna whisk, whisk, whisk. Tanya, if you'd like to whisk and really just incorporate everything.
It smells so savory and sweet. It's
Perfect, that'll do. Wonderful. So then if you're at home, feel free to put your stove on a medium heat, oil your pan, and now what you're going to do is just add a little bit of the egg mixture into your pan. Since we don't have a stove here, we have a handy dandy yellow cloth, and that will emulate the egg mixture.
Awesome.
Once the egg has set, you're gonna do a fold. So take your chopsticks, place it underneath your egg, and it might be 1, 2, or 3 folds depending on the size of your pan. So for me, it's just the 1 fold. And you'll keep essentially doing this, adding more egg mixture until your egg mixture is done. So then what you want is ultimately a log shape for your omelet. Then once you're done, ta-da, you have your final product, which is our Japanese egg omelet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, this looks amazing. And I was just drooling back there looking at all that you were making. So where do you get the dashi?
So I actually make it at home.
Oh, you make it.
So I buy the kelp at the Japanese supermarket, and then I make it at home. But there is already pre-made dashi as well.
Okay.
So
Yes.
2 options, really. And I'm just gonna slice it,
I can't wait. Cannot wait.
and hopefully it's nice and fluffy on the insides, and you'll see that there's all these different layers on the inside.
Wow.
And it's really, it kind of is almost a little custardy.
Okay.
True. It has a different texture than a regular omelet.
Exactly. And there we have it. And you can always top it with a little chives.
Yes.
And there we go.
You know, I am going to try all this after we get off the filming. So I wanted to ask, because this looks amazing, but what about if someone is thinking, how many eggs should we cap off?
So I know this looks like a lot of eggs.
In 10 seconds. In 10 seconds.
Okay, so with eggs, there's been a lot of conflicting studies.
Yeah.
But what Mayo Clinic has come out and said that you can eat up to 7 eggs a week, and there has shown to have no negative side effects with any heart risk disease. So as long as you're combining your eggs with heart-healthy food like avocados, anything vegetables, you're good to go.
Wow, that is fantastic, excellent news. And aren't you excited that we can get the active form of vitamin A from eggs? All right, everyone, thank you ladies for joining us today and sharing. Thank you for joining us on this episode, and join us next time for another episode of Chat and Chew.
Bye.
Bye.